Hi there and welcome once again to The Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. Today we're talking about something that impacts millions of families across the country and right here at home, autism. You hear the word a lot. You may see the statistics. You may even know somebody personally. But what is autism really? What do we actually know about it? What don't we know? And what kind of support truly makes a difference? Here's what the science tells us. Autism or autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition. It affects how a person communicates, interacts socially, and processes the world all around them. It's called a spectrum because it can look very different from one person to another. The CDC now estimates about 1 in 31 children are identified with autism. Researchers say there is no single cause. There is strong evidence of a genetic component. Environmental influences are still being studied, but major health authorities continue to reaffirm that vaccines do not cause autism. There is no cure, but there are treatments and therapies that can significantly improve communication, behavior, and quality of life, especially when intervention starts early. So what does that look like for families in our community? Well, that's where today's guest comes in. Scott Hayes is here. He is one of the forces behind Acoustics for Autism and Project I Am, an organization providing direct support to families in Northwest Ohio. Scott, we're right on the precipice of another big event, but I wanted you to come on here today to kind of dive a little bit more into the support and what families, I guess, who first get a diagnosis, what they deal with, what happens next down the line for them.
Well, it's a lot to take in at once. When you get the diagnosis, what we've seen, and I'm not a statistician, I'm not a medical professional.
Yeah.
We just see the result, and we see the families that we work with over the years,
I guess,
and we learn a lot from our friends at ASNO. But
lay out Project I Am real quick for folks.
Yeah. So Project I Am is an organization that was founded by Nicole Corey. We exist solely, Jeff, to make money. We make money so that we can fund families that are searching for the right therapy that works for their child. It turns out, early diagnosis is very important, and the sooner you can get treatment started, the more successful the outcomes are. But we just, for that first Sunday in March, generate as much money we can at a free event to raise money so that we can fund our scholarship that we endow, and then we distribute money for therapies. We've seen all kinds of things work. It depends, and you ask what happens at first.
Right.
Well, there's a great resource in Northwest Ohio in ASNO, which is the Autism Society of Northwest Ohio. There's a great lady that is kind of like the hub of the wheel when I look at things. She helps people, once they get that diagnosis, to look at individual plans that might work for your child. And then she has all kinds of treatment options that might work depending on where they are on the spectrum.
Right.
One thing I've learned that I didn't know, I mean, you had mentioned we're 1 in 31 as of 2025. When we first started this in 2008, that number was 1 in 88. So just in that nearly 20 years, 18, 19 years that we've been watching this, that's an increase of 183%.
Do you think that's more the better identification of what the symptoms and or the signs are, or is it better diagnosis? Or is it all the above?
I think it could be all of the above.
Yeah.
I know that the microscope has gotten bigger. We're able to see it. There's more recognition now, and so there's health professionals are more engaged because people are bringing it up at earlier ages, and depending on where you are on the spectrum. So I believe the microscope has gotten bigger, but I also believe that you had mentioned they're studying environmental factors. Could there be something we're exposed to that has caused this rise? It's probably a combination of both. Certainly a genetic component. We know that.
What does that moment look like for families when the diagnosis comes through, what you have been led to believe they are dealing with? Because there's the recognition sometimes by other family members. Maybe it's not the parents directly. Maybe it's them saying, have you checked for this, that, and the other?
Yeah, I mean, it can be... It can be overwhelming.
And
I know
defeating, right?
It could be. But, you know, these kids are, the kids that we've seen and worked with are great kids. And so we don't even like to call it, you know, it's a challenge maybe. And certainly there are sensory input adjustments that you have to make. And that's where we come in. We're able to provide the funding for some of these therapies that help you kind of manage that and work with it. But these are still great kids, so we don't even refer to it as a disease.
Yeah, right.
You know, early on, we'd hear that word, and our parents, you know, were quick to point out that, hey, my kid doesn't have a disease. My kid's different. But it can be overwhelming, and luckily we have in Northwest Ohio we have great resources to help families navigate through that. You know, our organization doesn't do that. We refer people to ASNO. But what we've seen is the families that we help are a lot of the families that volunteer for our big event, Acoustics for Autism, and they, by osmosis, meet other families that are dealing with this, and they bounce things off each other. They have you know, someone on the other end of the phone that can empathize with what they're going through. Yeah. And that's kind of a collateral effect of what we do.
We talk all the time about Northwest Ohio. We're a hotbed for heart disease. We have high spikes in, you know, obesity. And I wonder, as far as autism is concerned, as a challenge, as you spoke, is this an area of the country where those numbers, we talked about the 1 in 31, is this a higher than normal case load as far as Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan?
Yeah, I tried to dig into that. I thought you might ask that. There are geographical differences in that rate. That 1 in 31 is a national average, and there are areas of the country where it's higher than lower. I did not see Northwest Ohio as kind of a spiked area, like we've seen with some other things like diabetes, I know is one, teenage pregnancy is another, but I did not see that. Doesn't mean that that's not true.
Yeah. There's still confusion about the causes. We talked environmental possibilities, not with vaccines. What, when you guys lead, and we got about 30 seconds before we take our first break, where do you guys kind of, as an organization, steer parents, steer family members?
We steer
Who helps you steer them, I guess?
Autism Society of Northwest Ohio. Kate Schwartz is our point person that is living her family. She works with her kids that are on the spectrum in her family, and she is the most passionate advocate I've ever met and the most knowledgeable. So we have a great resource right here in Northwest Ohio to help direct the families that we work with.
Yeah. Stay right there. When we come back here on Leading Edge, we're going to talk a little bit about the event that Scott was just talking about, what fuels all of this. Acoustics for Autism comes up March 1st, a full day of live music that has grown into one of the largest autism fundraisers in our region. We're going to tell you a little bit more about how it works, how you can be a part of it. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back here on Leading Edge, talking with Scott Hayes about autism awareness and Project I Am. So, Scott, let's talk about the event that obviously makes this all possible. Acoustics for Autism coming up on March 1st, once again in Maumee. We're talking 19 years?
Yeah, this is our 19th edition.
Yeah.
18 years we've been doing it.
One of the things that grabs everybody's attention, the bands that donate their time, their talent, their treasure. But you said there are going to be coordinated areas for kids specific. Let's break into that. Tell people about the event and what it kind of caters to.
Yeah, one of the things that Nicole, our founder, she's very sensitive to input, and we want to take input from the people that come and support us. And one of the things that we heard was we'd like to have more distinct kid areas and different levels of sensory input. And so we have 3 areas. One is a kids area that's right in the event on Wayne Street. There's a big tent there. There'll be live music in there, a little bit subdued, but live music. But that tent will be all about the kids. We have tenured TPS teachers in there with crafts and activities for the kids.
Let me ask you, for people that don't understand, and is it overstimulation? Is that what you're trying to get away from when you have those sensory rooms?
Yes. So we have a decompression area right in the event, right around the corner from the kids' tent on Conant and Wayne Street. And then we have a third area this year at the Maumee Indoor Theater where it's completely disconnected from all the hustle and bustle of Uptown Maumee, where we'll have 20,000 people over the course of a day, or 30,000.
Yeah.
There, we're going to have one of Toledo's favorite groups, Distant Cousins guitar player, Caden, who works with music therapy for kids on the spectrum, is going to do a demonstration at noon right inside the Maumee Indoor Theater. And we'll have music in there, but it'll be very quiet. It'll be isolated. But you're absolutely right. Some kids, depending on where they are on the spectrum, and depending on their diagnosis, might be more sensitive to stimulation. And so we're sensitive to that. And we've kind of made the event conducive to families that have needs all over the spectrum.
So many different therapies that are available. I'm imagining music is just one of them, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's ABA therapy, there's occupational therapy, physical therapy. We found equine therapy that kids, the animals tend to, I've learned that animals tend to, they don't talk back, they nudge. Was one of the families had described to me that kids that are overly sensitive to sensory input.
We've reported on such success with veterans and with PTSD as far as equine therapy is concerned.
Yeah, that's one of the many things that we fund through Project I Am. That's the whole reason we have Acoustics for Autism.
Scholarships. I wanted to talk about that. We've got another graphic we wanted to show people by the numbers as far as Project I Am, what it's able to do over the course of 19 years now with Acoustics for Autism. $1 million, Scott, in scholarships awarded. 500 plus families supported just last year alone. 5,000 plus volunteers over the years. And as we said, we are coming up on year 19. You said you came out very boldly in the first segment. It said, we are about making money specifically for these therapies so that these families have access.
Yeah, it's a free event. So we want to make this available to everybody, but there's a lot of ways that you can help. So on March 1st, we'll have 107 bands. It is the largest annual free music festival in the country, right here in Maumee. And so on that day, you can participate in our silent auction that will start the week before the event. You can online and then at the event, and there's plenty of ways you can contribute. Yeah. We'll have people walking around with karma buckets and 50-50 raffles and stuff. But yes, we exist to generate
including our
money.
Own Dan Cummins.
Including
yes.
Dan. Yes. But I'm not shy in saying that's why we exist. I know what our boundaries are. We're not really we don't do research and we don't diagnose, but we can sure help families that need it with the scholarship opportunity so that they can, where we really come in handy, Jeff, is when you've got several things that you want to try and you're not sure what might work for your kid. We can help fund those things that insurance won't pay for.
And we've got about 45 seconds, but you've got numerous success stories. Is there one that has stood out to you, maybe within the last 2 years?
It's hard for me to not think of Dancin' Dan. He's been with us a long time. He's become a good friend of mine. You'll see him at the event. He dances the whole time. Music just does something to him that puts him in the zone. He wears a jacket that says Dancing Dan. He's an imposing 6'5" maybe. Big guy, big teddy bear. I love all our kids. I've known him the longest, so he's the one that most recognizable figures at our event.
Once again, March 1st, Acoustics for Autism, downtown Maumee, an all-day event. Scott, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good to see you again. Stay right there. Coming up, what if I told you a local restaurant owner took 60 employees on a cruise and it wasn't a corporate retreat? Welcome back. Running a restaurant isn't just about what's on the plate. It's about leadership, culture, teamwork, and creating an experience people feel the moment they walk through the door. Jeff Dinnebeil, he is the executive chef and owner of The Standard, a modern American bistro that has quickly become one of Toledo's most talked about dining destinations. But beyond the food, Dinnebeil is building something deeper. A team-first culture that recently made the headlines when he took 60 employees on a cruise to try to strengthen morale and connection. We talk about entrepreneurship, hospitality, risk, and what is really at stake and what it takes to build a restaurant that stands out. What is The Standard?
The Standard is a modern American bistro. So we do a little bit of everything. So we have great seafood, great steaks. Right now we do have a pretty heavy Italian influence on the menu right now, but we change the menu a lot. We're changing it 5, 6, 7 times a year, so that can go up and down what we're really feeling and being influenced by. I know that John, Megan, and I are really, really big on getting the staff involved with the operations of the restaurant and the identity of it. So, when one of my cooks comes and says they have some outlandish thing that they want to do that doesn't fit that mold, we'll put it on the menu and, obviously test it and play with it and tweak it. But getting their input, getting it on the menu really fluctuates kind of our identity when it comes to the food or the cocktails or something like that. But what we are is we're a great restaurant that serves great, fresh, made-to-order food by people that really love and care about you.
You said my team. We've been together for some time. Was that a group of cooks, sous chef? Bring me up to speed on what you mean there.
Yeah, we are fortunate enough to have hands down the best team in the city of Toledo, Northwest Ohio.
What makes up a team in the restaurant industry?
I'm obviously a little biased about it. There's other great people out there doing it too. But, a team in the restaurant industry ranges from general manager, servers, bartenders, obviously cooks, dishwashers, hosts, bussers, assistant managers. And then honestly, it extends out to purveyors as well, and the people that you partner with that are supplying the products to the restaurant, supplying services to the restaurant. It goes without saying everybody's industry has a whole lot of things that other people outside of it don't know. But there's so much that goes into really operating and running a fantastic restaurant. And I've had the opportunity to just have the best people with me to do this.
Walking in the door at Standard, I want my guests to experience blank.
Love and hospitality. And that's what it's all about. We make sure that we have an extra host up at the door so that we're opening the door for you. I mean, granted, we'll miss it a couple times, but they're up there. They know top priority. We see somebody walking in, opening that door for them. Welcome to the Standards. Thank you so much for being here. From start to finish, that's what it's all about for us. One of my favorite things in the restaurant is watching somebody get up and leave, and seeing my team, 5, 6 different people, whether it be a busser, whether it be a bartender that's on the other side of the bar. Just thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Hope you had a great time. It is delivering on that emotional experience and that true, genuine hospitality, making people feel seen, heard, and cared about.
I wanted to ask about the cruise. You had I know that Toledo Blade did an article about you taking your team on a cruise. Where'd the inspiration, where'd the idea for that come from?
We really talked about how much we thought our team would enjoy doing something like that. We might have had a couple cocktails before and had been a little grandiose about our ideas, but I'll tell you what, when we got back, Megan and I really looked at each other and we said, hey, I'm serious about that. I want to do that. I want to do that for our team. I want them to be able to experience this. And we did it. We put it out there right when we got back, so there was no taking it back. We told our team, hey, we had such a great time doing this. Next year, we're going on a cruise together. And a whole lot of people didn't believe us for quite some time until it got to come October, when we were finalizing reservations and everything, and people said, wow, we're really doing this.
How many did you take, and was this all expenses paid?
So we took 60 people. We took care of everybody's ticket on the boat, and then everybody's drink pass and everything. They did have to get themselves down there. But once they got themselves down there, we took care of getting on the boat and everything that they did on the boat.
Wow. Talk a little bit about changes, what you saw, if anything, and changes in morale, teamwork, performance. I mean, kind of the proof is in the pudding kind of a moment.
Um, it was, I think that one of my cooks, I think it was one of my cooks, I don't know. Somebody was quoted in the paper in the article of saying that we left as coworkers and we came back as family. Might sound a little corny, but man, it spot on. The connections that people made on that boat were just amazing. We've always had a really close-knit team, but anytime in the restaurant industry, with you working over at Chow and everything, you can probably attest to it. There's a lot of times where the servers can't name a single cook's name, or the cooks are mad at the servers or the bussers all the time or something like that. We've always kind of tried to bridge that gap of not us versus them when it comes to front of house and back of house. And this was a great opportunity to reinforce that, where everybody had a roommate and we kind of divvied out roommates randomly, and just everybody made these connections on the boat, whether it be around the breakfast table at 7 o'clock or in the morning, or at the club at 3 o'clock at night, or wandering around the boat under the stars, late night. They made these meaningful, long-lasting connections that you could see come through when we came back. And you could see with our guests too. Everybody just came back firing on all cylinders. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? And let's go. They were ready to put their pedal to the metal and just go. And it was really, really cool to see.
Jeff, thank you. And yes, you heard him right. I was a waiter at one time in my life. Final word right after this. Thanks once again to Scott and Jeff for joining us, and thank you to you as always. Until next time, listen, learn, and lead.